Today's case is about 19-year-old Colleen Slemmer, who was brutally murdered in January of 1995 by peers of hers. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Medium and Murder. My name is Colby Rebel. I am your host. Colleen was 19. She was with some friends who lured her into the woods to smoke some marijuana. That was the pretense. During this brutal murder, Christa Pike was with Tadaryl, Shipp, and Shadolla Peterson. So it was the three of them against Colleen Slemmer. Colleen didn't even know what was happening or why it was happening. So Christa seems to be the mastermind behind this. She was jealous of the relationship she felt Colleen was getting too close to her man, Tadaryl. So she was getting jealous of Tadaryl and Colleen's relationship. Therefore, they start to stab her, beat her. They carved a pentagram into her chest, which they're saying would have taken at least 30 minutes to do this, up to an hour. At one point, Christa even leans over Colleen and says, "Do you even know who's doing this to you?" At which point there was no answer because Colleen probably was so unconscious at this point, barely alive, and not even sure what was happening or why it was happening. If you could imagine, she's probably yelling for help or begging for her life or trying to just understand why. So Christa takes a piece of asphalt, crushes it over Colleen's head. This is what killed Colleen. She takes a piece of Colleen's skull and carries it around with her as if it's a good luck charm, a trophy, something she's proud of. She doesn't seem to have any remorse about this murder or what had happened. Shadolla Peterson agrees to testify against Christa Pike and Tadaryl Shipp. She gets probation, so that was her sentence, just probation. Tadaryl was only 17 at the time of this crime. He is given a sentence in jail with the possibility of parole, which was in 2025. Christa was sentenced to death because she was 18 at the time of this crime. So we have three very varying sentences, but it has to do with age. We have Colleen, the victim, 19, Christa, the perpetrator, at 18, Tadaryl at 17, and then of course Shadolla agrees to testify. So there's a lot of disparaging remarks about how fair is this. Tadaryl should have the same time as Christa. Christa shouldn't be at the death penalty because it wouldn't happen today, or the fact that she was abused as a child and it wasn't brought in. But again, we have to look at her actions, right? She consciously lured Colleen into the woods. It was already a plan set in motion. This wasn't a crime of passion. It wasn't a crime of the moment. This crime was premeditated. And you have the other two parties. Tadaryl, he's up for this. Shadolla probably didn't know what to do or how to get out of it, but at least she ended up doing the right thing of saying, hey, this is what happened. But why didn't she do the right thing when it counted, when it mattered? She might have been afraid for her own life. So when we look at these three figures and what has happened, and you could say, well, has Christa been a role model inmate? No, actually, she hasn't. She actually tried to escape in 2001. She assaulted another inmate as well. So she really hasn't shown true reform or true regret over this case and what happened. So they are trying to say too that Tadaryl, that he was in the pagan world, he was in witchcraft. That's where the pentagram comes from. But at the end of the day, this seems to be a crime of jealousy. Christa was just very jealous at the relationship that was forming between Tadaryl and Colleen. So it was very torturous. Christa Pike, her fingerprints were at the scene. Her blood is at the scene. They used a box cutter on her. If you could even imagine a box cutter. I mean, it's not even the deepest blade. So that's going to take a lot of work in order to fully incapacitate someone. And that's exactly what they did. They said the maintenance guy, he came and found the body. He couldn't recognize that it had been a person. He didn't even realize that this had been a human being. That's how damaged the physical body was by these three persons. So we now have Christa on death row. Her scheduled death date is September 30th, 2026. And if this is carried out, she will be the first woman in 200 years in Tennessee to be put to death. Now, on a positive note, she actually gets to decide how she dies, and that is through lethal injection or the electric chair, which is more of a choice than Colleen got. And we just have to try to remember that. May Martinez is the mother of Colleen. She wants the death penalty. She absolutely feels that that's what would bring justice to her daughter. But again, we will see how this unfolds. So as much as we may advocate or not advocate the death penalty, we have to look at what's fair for Colleen so that Colleen, her soul, has justice and peace. So we'll keep an eye on this case for you. We will keep you updated as to what happens. And for everyone out there, remember to always be nice, but never naive.